Keio Flying Squadron 2 is a quirky and colorful side-scrolling platformer developed by Victor Entertainment and released for the Sega Saturn in 1996. The game is a direct sequel to Keio Flying Squadron 1993, which was originally released on the Sega CD and gained a cult following due to its wacky premise and unique visual style. While the first game was a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, Keio Flying Squadron 2 takes the franchise in a different direction, blending platforming and action elements with a more varied gameplay experience. Keio Flying Squadron 2 continues the adventures of Rami Nana Hikari, a young girl and the great keeper of the secret treasure, who is not exactly the most responsible or serious about her title. Rami, her pet dragon Spot who she rides, and her anthropomorphic rabbit sidekick, Dr. Pond, are tasked with recovering the stolen treasure from a band of thieves who are out to use it for nefarious purposes. The game's story, like its predecessor, doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's filled with humorous moments, quirky dialogue, and outlandish scenarios. The tone of the game is light-hearted and whimsical, with a mix of Japanese folklore and modern absurdity, creating an entertaining and charming atmosphere. The game also introduces new characters and villains, each as eccentric and colorful as the last, making the overall experience feel like a playful anime come to life. While the original Keio Flying Squadron focused on shoot-'em-up mechanics, the sequel transitions into a 2D side-scrolling platformer with some action and puzzle-solving elements. Rami runs and jumps through various levels, using a variety of attacks and power-ups to defeat enemies. She can throw items at her foes, and in some sections, players can ride Spot, allowing for shoot-'em-up sequences reminiscent of the first game. The platforming in Keio Flying Squadron 2 is fairly straightforward but engaging. Players guide Rami through levels filled with enemies, hazards, and obstacles, while collecting items, power-ups, and keys that allow progression. The game's controls are tight, making Rami easy to maneuver and responsive, although some of the level designs can be challenging and require a good deal of precision. In addition to platforming, the game incorporates several mini-games and unique mechanics that help keep the gameplay fresh. One stage may have Rami solving environmental puzzles, while another might involve shoot-'em-up sequences or boss fights that require pattern recognition and quick reflexes. These varied elements help to break up the traditional platforming and give the game more depth than its predecessor. One of the standout aspects of Keio Flying Squadron 2 is its boss battles. These encounters are often elaborate, requiring players to use both skill and strategy to defeat larger-than-life enemies. Bosses range from giant mechanical creatures to folkloric monsters, and the game's sense of humor is apparent in the way these enemies are designed and the situations in which they appear. The graphics in Keio Flying Squadron 2 are one of the game's most distinctive features. The vibrant, hand-drawn sprite work is highly detailed, and the game's art direction is reminiscent of 90s anime, full of bold colors and exaggerated character designs. Each level is visually distinct, featuring a variety of backdrops such as traditional Japanese landscapes, fantastical floating islands, and mechanical fortresses. The visual variety helps keep the player engaged as the game progresses through its different stages. The animations are smooth and fluid, especially for Rami and the game's bosses. The art style is playful and charming, complementing the game's light-hearted tone. The presentation makes the game feel like an interactive cartoon, enhancing its appeal. The sound design is equally impressive. The game's soundtrack is upbeat and catchy, featuring a mix of traditional Japanese-inspired melodies and more modern, energetic tracks. The music complements the visual design and gameplay, creating a lively atmosphere that fits perfectly with the game's whimsical tone. The sound effects are also well executed, with crisp and punchy audio for Rami's attacks, item pickups, and environmental interactions. Despite its colorful and appealing design, Keio Flying Squadron 2 struggled to find a wide audience outside Japan. Part of the reason for this was its release timing in 1996, when the Sega Saturn was already losing ground to Sony's PlayStation. The Sega Saturn never achieved mainstream success outside Japan, and games like Keio Flying Squadron 2, with its niche appeal and quirky style, were often overlooked by Western audiences. As a result, the game is relatively rare and sought after by collectors today. However, among retro gaming enthusiasts, Keio Flying Squadron 2 has gained a cult following, much like its predecessor. The game is praised for its charming art style, humorous storytelling, and varied gameplay mechanics. It stands out as a hidden gem on the Sega Saturn, particularly for fans of platformers and anime-inspired games. Keio Flying Squadron 2 is a delightful and unique platformer that expands upon the quirky world established by its predecessor. With its vibrant visuals, engaging gameplay, and humorous tone, it remains a standout title in the Sega Saturn's library. Although it was not widely recognized at the time of its release, it has since gained a cult following for its distinct blend of platforming action and offbeat charm. For fans of the Sega Saturn or retro gaming in general, Keio Flying Squadron 2 is well worth seeking out.
Here we have the youngest participant in today's tournament, Rami Nana Hikari. Rami, tell us, why did you decide to participate today?
You know, like I can be on TV, become famous, and eat a lot of good food, and I get the treasure for the prize!
Well, you can't have the prize unless you become a champion, you know.
Of course I'll be the champion and win the prize! Victory will be mine!
I can't believe that this girl is really serious.
Hey, that's not nice!
I'll tell you something, kid.
My uncanny sense warns me that this tournament is cursed by an evil machismo spirit. Female contestants will not survive the supernatural sexual prejudice.
Ooh, you scare me.
What's your attitude, kid?
What a weird woman!
Thank you for watching.